me to start. I want to say welcome to WIGI-pedia, which is our Women in the Golf Industry educational series, which we do about every other month. So today's topic is building your business, as you all know, building your business, building your brand with the famous Debbie O'Connell. Allow me to introduce myself. Many of you do know me, but my name is Kay McMahon, and I'm the current president of Women in the Golf Industry, which we affectionately call WIGI. I'm thrilled that we got such a great response for today. And as I've said before, we're going to ask you to mute yourself. And if you have any questions, though, please put them in the chat as we're talking, or we will open it up at the end if we have enough time to a Q&A. Debbie has a lot of information to share. We are very thrilled to have our WIGI member, Debbie O'Connell, with us today. Allow me just to tell you a little bit about her. She is a very good friend, and as an LPGA professional, she is one of the great leaders in the industry. And I'm not always sure I'm supposed to say this, but she has over 34 years of experience, does not look 34 years of experience, but has those years of experience as an LPGA professional, where her expertise, and we'll get into her story, extends well beyond her teaching performance skills for golf, which she is changing lives for the better. She's an entrepreneur that has built a strong brand and reaches clients around the world. Debbie also teaches mindset mastery and how to conquer your golf mind. Great topics. In addition to her work on performance skills and mindset, she's an international professional speaker, trainer and coach, corporate event manager. Debbie is also an author, and she's a best-selling author of Golf Positive, Live Positive, and the host of Audible's 12-lesson Golf Positive series. And she's made several appearances on the Golf Channel. So please welcome, I could go on about this, Debbie, and many of her accolades. Please welcome our good friend, Debbie O'Connell, on building your business and building your brand. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Kay, for that awesome introduction. I'm just thrilled to be here and to share. And speaking of leaders in the LPGA, a past president in our LPGA, Kay has been phenomenal and an amazing leader in her own right for her entire career in golf.
Well, I had some great leaders before me that kind of kept pushing me along. So, that's what it's kind of all about. So it's about helping us each other and making connection. And that's kind of what WIGI's about. And in the LPGA, there's a lot of people that have really helped us. So, but what I would like to start with is I do want to talk about a little bit about your story, because as we talked about, I talk about changing careers sometimes. And I wanted to say, and I said this to you today, earlier, you didn't change careers, but you changed the focus of your career. Can you tell us a little bit about your background, how that got started, and where we're going, where you went, where you've come to?
Absolutely. I started my career in golf actually pursuing a playing career. And then I found that I really enjoyed just being around people, teaching people, inspiring people, much more than I did as a player. Besides the fact I was in a tournament with Christy Kerr when she was 15 and her ball was still flying in the air when it went over mine, and she hit it probably 50, 60 yards past me, and I said, wow, that's the unbecoming LPGA. Whoa. So it was really interesting to watch her career blossom. But I just found I enjoyed teaching. So early on, I got into the LPGA, what we called back then the teaching and club professional division. We're now LPGA professionals, and started to pursue a career as a club pro, teaching and club pro, and did everything in the game, from the starter, the ranger, the picking up balls on the driving range, to assistant pro, to head golf professional. So for 15 years, I was a head golf professional at 3 different courses. Each one, it was a great advancement, and the final one was a private high-end country club. And during that time, I had this inner feeling, this intuition, and many of you have heard from your intuition, haven't you? Well, I had this inner pull that said, I felt like I wanted to reach more people than just at a country club. I felt like I made an impact. a positive impact on my members, put smiles on their faces, ran great events. I loved it, loved teaching. I really loved my job, but I had this pull inside that said, reach more people and not just the ones here at the club. And at the time then, I partnered with some fellow LPGA professionals and a fitness person, a psychologist, and a business gal, and we started a company called Ladies Links for Golf. And that was, we actually traveled the country giving clinics to women amateurs. We started a magazine, we started a radio show, and I was starting to reach more people, and I really enjoyed that. And then any chance I had for a speaking opportunity, I jumped on it. And I even had a radio show before the other one because I said yes. And something I want you to all remember in life, say yes to opportunities that come along. It's really important because they will come along, and you can either talk yourself out of them or talk yourself into them. And even if you're afraid, sometimes that's the opportunity that will catapult your life. A quick thing about the radio show, I am now the co-host of Tee to Green, which is on XM Radio, iHeartRadio. It's just amazing to have this opportunity. And I was able to jump right in very comfortably because I said yes to an opportunity 30 years ago. So just a little aside there. Yeah.
I can jump in a little bit on that because I did the same thing way back when. I went to a little workshop for the LPGA. Met a woman that had written a book, and eventually she asked me to help write her book, and I eventually became writer because of that. And so you're right about jumping on opportunities and sometimes just saying no, saying yes a lot more times than you need to. Mm-hmm.
Yes,
go ahead. Sorry,
absolutely. No, I appreciate you sharing that because the more stories people hear like that, the better. And I decided to go on my own and have my own business, be an solopreneur. Which sometimes is really challenging, but a lot of times with that autonomy of your entire business, it works out really well too. So when I decided that, one morning I woke up and I said the words golf positive came to me because that was something that had always been part of who I am as a person, is learning from the most positive, inspiring people in the world. Way back when, Norman Vincent Peale, Zig Ziglar, all those great speakers. And then I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan, been to a lot of his courses. So that shift in mindset and to see more of the positive, learn from anything that didn't go your way and become better, had become my mantra. So when Mara said that, Cheryl said the most positive person she knows, that's my brand. That's the book I wrote. That's the brand I have. It's the name of my company. So I was glad to hear that someone, when asked about me, used those words. So that's been the journey. Now, did I know how to build a business? Did I know, even with our group of us, Ladies Links for Golf and the Golf Positive, I had no clue how to build a business. I was a golf pro. So I've learned the hard way on the road to success, for sure.
Let me ask you a question. Were you scared?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So you jumped in anyway. It was a big leap. So how did you overcome the scaredness? That
started, that's a great word. That started actually when I was a kid. I was incredibly shy. And not many people even believe that, knowing me today. I was the kid who held on to her mom's leg. Who didn't say a word when people would come on. I just kind of put my head down and not say anything. And I didn't like feeling that way, but I was actually so afraid just to even talk. Never asked a question. Emily says same, right? And it's uncomfortable. I felt scared all the time. I was worried about being embarrassed. I didn't want to do things wrong. And I was just in this, I felt so sheltered and alone by being so shy. And so I'd see these outgoing kids and I'd be like, wow, I want to be more like that. And every once in a while, because I'm a good athlete, I'd have a little confidence on a softball field or on the basketball court. And this little outgoing person, leader, would come out in me. And I'd be like, wow, who was that? And then I realized that's really who I am. All this fear kept me from being my unique, personal, true self. So I would ask myself this question: what is the worst thing that can happen? And I'd ask another one, will you die? And this was just to actually talk, to ask somebody a question in a conversation, one-on-one. I'm sitting in a car with somebody. Okay, say something, say something. What's the worst thing? Will you die? No. Okay. So then I'd say something and I'd try it. And that was literally how I got out of being shy. So it's kind of something I'll turn to of, well, what's the worst thing that can happen? I mess up, right? It doesn't work. I learn great lessons and then I go get a job. I'm hireable. Get back to working.
Well, I think you're hitting at a great nerve for everybody, because I think we all, if you ask all these people that are on here, at some point we've all been shy, or what we thought was shy, or we hid in a closet, or we wanted to, whatever, and we really didn't know what to say. I can say the same thing. I'm pretty much of an introvert too, and no one would believe that to this day, because now they can't shut me up. You give me a microphone and it's like you got to take the microphone away, right? But it's kind of interesting, because you take your golf game and you say, if I'm a bad chipper, then I should practice that. And so if you have to identify your faults, then let's go practice getting out of being able to speak and talking in public and being a leader. But I also want to touch on something else. Don't you think being a good athlete has leadership skills?
100%. And that's how I found my true self, was in sports, for sure. And that leader came out, just cheering for teammates, being a part of a team. I grew up with team sports as basketball and softball, played field hockey for a couple of years until they dropped it at my school. Yeah, sports 100%. And it's great to play of different sports. And then golf, it's cool when you're in high school and college playing, you are in a team, even though it's an individual sport. And I also bowled, 10-pin bowling. So that helped me on the individual sport arena as well. Not to mention everything we get to learn in golf, which I think is the toughest sport out there because of the mental game.
Well, it's always about the 6-inch attic. It's like I can teach you how to swing a club, but it's like, what do I have? What happens in between here? So I think part of that's really good. Let me just kind of go back to, let's go back to how you actually made that transition from, let's say, a teaching professional at a club to actually doing it. Can you kind of describe a little bit of how you did it?
Yeah, well, what was neat, I was a head golf professional with an incredibly safe, secure job and making good money, really good money. And the first leap was with Ladies Links for Golf. So I had other people, which was great. And then I went full-time in the business first before anyone else, which was a risk for sure. And there was a cut in pay. And sometimes you make that sacrifice for a bigger purpose. So it's finding, if anyone's thinking about, I say review this if you have a business, and make sure you have a vision if you're a senior in high school, a vision of your future. You want to, have this kind of North Star to help guide you. And I had that vision and that passion and purpose of influencing more people, and then using the game of golf, not just to help their golf game, but to transform their lives. Because I struggled so much. I struggled, like I said, being shy, really most of school. In high school, I got a little bit better, but really college, and then I started to blossom into me. So that struggle, and then struggling in sports. Am I afraid of failure? Am I afraid of success? I felt like I wasn't reaching my full potential. And that struggle led me to want to dive in to learn even more about our brains. And so the start of it was with others, and we just wanted to teach golf around the country. And we started, and we did. Not the best way to start a business. We just jumped in and went. Now, what I've learned over the years after, making some mistakes is, you need to have your vision. You need to get a mission. And those two, that's really important. And then find your purpose. What are your core values? What do you want to bring to the table? What kind of messages do you want to send out there? Knowing that first, I learned from John Assaraf, who's built $5 billion companies. And he has this philosophy of think, plan, do, and review. Well, I'd be the type to go think and do. I would get an idea and I'd go. I'm like, this is great, boom, and I'd run. And I forgot the planning part. So I've learned that over the years. And then I wouldn't even review it except, maybe I should do better than that. Or how can we do better? Maybe something like that. But it wasn't real like stats, like how did I do? So I've been learning over the years on how to be a better entrepreneur and businesswoman for sure.
It's kind of fascinating about that formula is because we all want to go and do, and then and then the review part is almost as important as the planning part, because you go, well, that worked, that didn't work, this worked, and I think that review really kind of keeps the personal education stuff really, as a person, you keep growing, don't you think? Because I know the same thing happens in teaching. Yeah, that it happens that way.
Continuing growth in every area of your life. As a businesswoman, as an aspiring golfer and golf professional, definitely want to always learn. Always. I created a new acronym. I love acronyms, and I created a new one not too long ago called POW, as in superhero, Wonder Woman. You'll see Wonder Woman behind me. That came out of my speaking engagements where I was teaching about taking charge of your emotional state, and I'd put a cape on and I'd dress as Wonder Woman so they would know they are their own superhero and to empower themselves. So that's what you want to make sure you're doing, is to continue to empower yourself, continue to learn, continue to grow, and that can be part of your brand, right? I am a continual learner. Part of leadership, part of a brand. And when you're out of school, it doesn't mean you stop learning and stop reading, because that's the time to really get into your own passion, what you love and what you're serving with people in your businesses, what you want to be out there is that part of your brand of I'm going to continue to learn. And brand is personal too. So, we see that with athletes, right? They have their brand as a professional athlete, but then they have their personal brand, for the aspiring LPGA Tour professionals. Your brand starts now. Your brand is, how do you want people to perceive you? Ask that. That's really important. Like, how people will judge you all the time. It's human nature. Our brains are made to keep us safe. That's its number one job, is to keep you safe. How does it do that? Well, our 2 million year old brain way back when we were, out in the jungle, it had to look out for anything that could harm us, as in tigers and bears and snakes and all that. It's constantly looking. So when people see you, they're judging you. Is this person going to help me? Is this person going to hurt me? Is this person kind? Am I safe around this person? Can I trust? You're being perceived and judged all the time. So what's important for all of us is to say, how do I want to be perceived? Part of what you want to be is authentic as well, and control the perceptions too. And Jan Beljan does that so well. I have never seen Jan Beljan not put together. And when I see her at the PGA show or any kind of golf event, she has the jacket on, she has the pins, totally presenting herself as a leader in her industry, right? Jan, that's the perception with Jan, and an expert in her field.
You're right about the brand, and it's always dressed for success, and I truly believe that, because that's part of your brand. So, as individuals, maybe even if I don't have a business, or I'm just getting into college or whatever, is your personal brand a business, or is it you?
Well, it's you personally and how you're perceived, and it's going to impact whatever you do, isn't it? It will always impact whether it's your own business, and if tour players are going to get sponsors with a certain brand that companies can align with, right? So you want to make sure you create a brand that is one that others would want to pair up with, one that others want to be around.
Would you say a brand is like your image, your professional character, your core values? I could probably go on and list a few things of what you're exuding out in public. Um, you
Yes, 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 and yes. All of it. And that's what's important to for all of us to look at: what are my qualities and characteristics? What are the qualities and characteristics I want to share and have be seen? And what are they? Because we also want to be authentic. People can sniff out an inauthentic person very, very quickly. Part of what I like to do, I do a little message on Facebook, Monday through Thursday now. It started In Motion Monday and Fun Friday. And then during COVID, and this was, I didn't think of it as a brand thing. It's who I am, which is great. I'm a very authentic in how I want to support people. I said during COVID, I'm going to be on 7 days a week. I want to give everybody some kind of message during this time when things are challenging every day. So I came up with In Motion Monday, Talk Tuesdays, Workout Wellness Wednesday, Thoughtful Thursday, Fun Friday. And then I don't know what I called it on the weekend, but I kept giving messages. Then I brought it back to 5 days a week, and now I'm just doing the 4. But it's each message, I'm very authentic in that, am I always as put together as Jan Beljan? No. One time I went on and I noticed my makeup was all underneath my eye, and I went, oh my gosh, look at my makeup, because it's live, right? I'm just being me, and it's me sharing. And that's all okay for me and my brand, because I want everybody to know that I'm human, right? I messed up in my businesses, when I started, because I didn't think and review.
So leading to that, is it okay to make mistakes? And is it okay, to go, if I've done something wrong and then go admit to it? Is that authentic? Are we all going to make mistakes?
Only if we're human.
Sometimes I don't feel human. When it eats like this, I'm not sure I really feel human.
Yes.
But let me ask you about going into mistakes, because we're talking about that a little bit. What mistakes do you think people can avoid, or what mistakes in your past do you think you could have avoided with maybe reaching out and asking for help from somebody else?
Yeah, coaching is key. I didn't finish telling you my pal. Pal was.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I interrupted.
No, I just remembered that. I stopped sharing it. But speaking of mistakes, here's what you do after a round of golf. Here's what you do after a meeting. Here's what you do at the end of every day. You pow it. You first look at the positives. Too many people live in what Dan Sullivan calls the gap as opposed to the gain. And the gap is when you focus on where you fell short. After a round of golf, the only thing you remember are all the bad shots. After a day, you're looking at, man, a week or a month, my business isn't growing as fast as I want to. I'm not getting where I want to. I thought I'd be a lot further along than I am now. That's being in the gap. We're so focused, and it's not a very fulfilling life. Perfectionists focus on where they fell short instead of where they're succeeding and what they did well. Could get 99 of 100 right, and the perfectionist is going to beat themselves up for that one. Right? So it's not a very happy, fulfilling place to live. When you live in the gain, you look at the positives first. What positive steps did I take today? What great shots did I hit today? How did I follow through on my process goal that I set today? Did I take that breath before every shot? Wow, I succeeded. And for Mara, and I don't know your friend's name, but the two future LPGA Tour pros.
Mara and McKenna.
Yeah. And McKenna. Nancy Lopez and I are good friends, and I was playing in our national tournament one time. And I didn't play well, shot 80 something. I don't remember exactly what it was. And she texted me and she said, hey, how'd you do today? And I said, I didn't play very well. And her question back to me wasn't, what did you shoot? Her question back to me was, did you try your best on every shot? And I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I didn't hang on to any bad shots. I let things go. Yeah, you know what? And I was positive. I pictured the shot the way I wanted it, and I wrote back and I said, yes, I did. And then her response was, then you should be proud of yourself. That was it. End of conversation. So positives first. The O is the opportunities. Now, where can I learn? Where can I grow? Where can I get better? You know, the shots maybe that didn't go as well, the meeting that didn't go as well, that the 5-day course that I ran, looked, you know, and poured into people and no one bought anything at the end of it. You know, okay, what are my opportunities to learn? How can I get better? Because that did not go as planned. You know, I spent a lot of money to put this on and then got nothing out of it. You know, financially anyway. I got a lot out because I served people and I helped them, but I needed some financial support too, because I have a business. So how, you know, it's those opportunities, how can I get better? And then the W is what's next. And the what's next is actually, you know, what's the game plan? You know, now I know where I fell short and the opportunities to learn and grow. What are my next steps to do that? My next steps typically involve a coach, as Kay said, and I definitely have hired business coaches to help me learn what I didn't know. You know, if we don't know it, but a mistake that I would make oftentimes, I didn't have a clear path, and early on I didn't have a clear target audience. I mean, niche down, clear audience. I wanted to help the world. I'm like, I'm just going to help everybody be more positive in the whole world. This is great. That was my audience. And so I couldn't talk to anyone specifically because I was trying to talk to everyone. So what you learn in business, and I learned it the hard way, was I needed to niche down. And I wanted to reach more than golfers for a long time. I was like, I didn't want to be stuck just golf. And then eventually, after I got coached and banged over the head, I realized, oh my goodness, I can reach people because of golf, and they want to be better at golf. And then because of the way I teach, that's very different, because I go into that mindset, I go to the root cause, and the root cause has nothing to do with golf. It's that control person who can't relax and let the club swing, and they hold the club too tight. It's not just, hey, relax your hands and relax it, right? Kay knows that. How many times you tell people, relax your grip, hold on to that, and they really can't. So I go to, well, when was the first time you were scared when you were out of control? So I tackle that, and guess what? I'm changing lives. I'm not just changing their game, I'm changing lives. So niche down was a mistake I made that now I do much better. Go ahead, Kay.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
I could tell you were like, had a question.
I wish you had more enthusiasm. Okay. But it's kind of, I'll just say a couple things. So when people play a round of golf, and especially my beginners, this is just something I do, going into the positive things. I make them make a hash mark every time they swing a club on each hole. And every time they get the golf ball airborne or they have their success, they make a hash mark in the thing below it. So they get to add all the ones up here, and then every time they play well, they get to add those up. So it's every time they hit it in the air, let's just say, then they go, oh, I hit it in the air 50 times out of 75. They go, wow, because we remember the 25 we hit in the water. Of course I do. I still remember when I was in the US Open and I took a 16, but it's okay. But you're absolutely right about, we all tend to do that. I think, the other thing is kind of going to some of your, I've got so many things I could ask you. It's amazing. But going back into people being shy and being kind of afraid is, don't you think the fear is that we live in somewhat of a judgmental society? Like everybody's afraid on the first tee. What are they going to think about me? How do you get over that? I mean, this is not just about the first tee. This is about business, about branding. It's about everything.
Yeah, of course it is. You want to go inside for that and figure out, what is the meaning I put to hitting a bad shot on the first tee? We're going to go a little deeper here. What is the meaning that if I put something on social media and someone's going to make a negative comment, what do I think that represents about me? What do I think? Because here's the thing, right? It's what other people think of me isn't my business, right? We've heard that. What other people think of me is not my business. But what I think people think of me is my business. Why? Because I am So to clarify that, what I think people think are in me. So I'm on the golf course and I see someone standing like this or like this, and say a beginner golfer. Oh, see, I shouldn't be out here. They think I don't belong. Now, did the person say that? No, they just maybe they learned from me to power pose and they're power posing. They're not mad, you know. So what you
I'm
think?
gonna slow you down. We gotta remember power post is a great word for it. Great. I'm gonna coin that one. Perfect.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm sorry, I
yeah, there's
interrupted.
the power pose, and that
Okay.
actually literally increases your confidence and lowers your stress. All the studies have been done. You standing like Wonder Woman over here. So use that. That's how when I'm waiting to hit my golf shot, I'm in my power pose. And I put a smile on my face. Here's the other part. Put a smile on your face, releases serotonin and dopamine. It's our happy drugs, tells our brain, body, everything, oh, everything's okay. So we get a little more relaxed. So those are a couple things we can do in terms of right there in the moment. Get the power pose on, control your thinking. Your thinking and your thoughts influence your emotions. So on a deeper level, it's the meaning we put to it. So what's important about really paying attention, what do I think they're thinking? That's actually what you think about yourself. Because
Yeah,
they didn't say it.
I always talk about it. As soon as you think that, you've given your power away. You've just let it go from you to them. You've given the power away. I
Right.
interrupted. I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right. You can interrupt anytime, Kay. Yes, not only giving your power away, but there's also a lesson in there and saying, wait, why do I think I don't belong out here? Turn around and ask yourself, if you're thinking someone is thinking something negative of you and they didn't say it, question that for yourself. What's the meaning you put to that? So if I'm a business person and I have a client and she has a business coach and I'm coaching her mindset, and she said they keep telling me to do more in-person speaking, be online more. I don't like that stuff. I don't like it. So we got down to what's the meaning? What does it represent if you put things online? Well, it has to be perfect. What if people criticize me? And I said, well, what if they do? Well, then if we got down to she wouldn't be liked or appreciated, and those were all her, right? And maybe the people criticizing you aren't your client anyway.
Very
Right?
good.
But she was so afraid of not being perfect. So as you grow your business, really know the brand you want to put out, and then have the courage to put it out there, no matter what you think other people are going to say, and no matter what they say. If it's authentic and you have a true passion and purpose for your business, and it's to serve others in some way, shape, or form, which businesses are, right? We're all trying to solve a need, solve a challenge or a frustration or irritation that someone has. If you know you're doing that in the most authentic way, then truly it doesn't really matter on that. It only matters if you let yourself beat yourself up because of it.
Right. So it's like acknowledging your expertise in an area that you're really, really good at. And I mean, so many people are good. Pat Baldwin's a great editor. She helped me along the way. We've got Jan Beljan, who will help architects around the world. I think it's a really also, this is kind of what WIGI is about making these connections and really supporting other women and helping young people, helping people that have gone on in their careers, and maybe it's the next career, down the road or whatever. So it's very, very interesting. Can I go back to something though, a little bit about, and I think this will help people because you breezed over pretty fast. You took coaching yourself to get to this, to take advice. And I think I kind of want to talk, we call it mentorship, we call it coaching, we can call it whatever. How do people get over the fear of reaching out? Because I think I didn't reach out to many people. I was afraid to do it. And then once I did it, it's like, oh my God, this really helped, from Shirley Spork to Pat Lang to Joanne Winter. I mean, I can just go down the list. And once I did that, things just opened up.
Well, again, it's taking charge of those thoughts of yours and then starting to say, well, I'm deserving. I'm worthy of getting help. People will value me. People will value who I am and my desire to grow and improve. And thinking through that. Like I said, your thoughts influence your emotions and how you feel. If you're feeling fear is false evidence appearing real. We all have heard that. And what it truly is, and then think of this in golf too. If I'm in the present moment, right? If I'm right here, I'm not in the future at all. So there's no fear. Fear is about the future. Fear is about what might happen in the future. We have no idea what might happen in the future. You have no idea where the golf ball is going to go, truly. And the more you can let it swing and let it go where it goes, be in the present moment, the better, right? So we don't want to we want to learn from the past. We don't want to live there. We want to be present. So when you're present, and here's a little thing you can do too, is if you want to go out to the future. So what are the good things that can happen? If I reach out to the person and they don't respond, how is that a problem? I'm not going to get help from them, and maybe they don't want to. How is it a problem? It's really not, is it? And then go, what if they do respond back and I learn some things? Wow, that could really make an impact. So think through, question yourself, if you're afraid, one, is it real? Or is it just my mind? And is it really going to be a problem if they don't respond?
That's very good. That's very good. Well, I have a lot more questions I can ask you, but I'd like to maybe open it up because I'm sure that we've got a lot of people shaking their heads. We've got Myra over here and McKenna looking at this. Let me open it up to the audience and see if we have any questions. Just unmute yourself or raise your hand and we'll call on you.
I wanted to ask you, so I am a perfectionist and that has been a problem. So I'm glad you said that. I mean, how do you pivot? I've tried a few things and it doesn't quite work. One, how do you keep your positive attitude about still going at it? And then how do you pivot, I guess, with your friends, with your audience? How do you feel? How do you let them know, okay, I'm not quite a success yet, but I'm still working on it? You know what I mean? And coming from a perfectionist, that becomes even harder. It's easier with a group of ladies who are probably experiencing the same thing.
Right. Well, one is, how do you define success? Is success your ideal of where you want to be? Because maybe you're successful every day in things you're doing and the progress you're making. Because you're a perfectionist, you're not able to see it. Right? So your definition of success, it could be that you just have this huge ideal and I'm not there yet, and so I'm not successful. So we want to, in goal setting and designing plans, have success along the way, live in the gain. What are the two good things I did today that's going to help me move forward? Right? What were the steps I took? Who did I impact today? Right? What in a small way. So I wouldn't say, hey, I'm not as successful as I want to be, because you don't know. It's like, when we get a golfer who's brand new, they hit a shot and I just ask them, like, well, tell me about that shot. Oh, it wasn't very good. And here it is. It's someone, what they just told me, and I'm watching their swing. They hit it in the air. It went a decent distance, maybe a little bit right of their target, and they didn't like it. And I'm like, okay. And then we keep hitting. And I had someone do this. I remember the lesson. And all of a sudden they're topping it. And every shot was that. And I said, well, think back to those first couple shots. They weren't so bad, were they? They're like, no, I'd like to be hitting that now. But they were criticizing that shot, right? So you just be aware of your level of what does success mean, and find ways you are successful every day. Do you use POW? What are the positives of my day? Where did I succeed today? Where did I move forward? And that's one way. The perfectionist is, I suggest you think back to what was the root cause. When did you decide, and it's unconscious, when did you decide that you had to be perfect? And what does it represent if you're not perfect? Like, what are the negative thoughts and emotions that come up when you're not perfect, and the deeper? So some of my clients who've been perfectionists, when we get to that, what does it represent? I'm not good enough. And then what else? What are the negative thoughts? I'm not loved. I'm not valued. I'm not worthy. That's how deep we get. I have to be perfect to have these things. The greatest need for a human being is to feel loved and feel like they're enough. And if somewhere in childhood you had parents who only pointed out the negative, you only felt loved when you did it perfectly, and when you didn't, they just criticized, that oftentimes creates a perfectionist, because your brain is trying to get you loved and valued, and it put together, I have to be perfect to have those things. Possible. I'm not saying that's you. That's one of my other clients. But there's been other reasons why other people, but we get what I do in my coaching is I help find that root cause and then release it. So it's, but I would suggest for you to do that and then ask yourself, is that really true? Once you dive deeper. Or, I mean, I'm going to offer everybody, I have a Conquer Your Golf Mind coming up in July 22nd. It's geared towards golf, but we coach you around the root cause of whatever. And we've had lots of perfectionists or people who need to be in control or whatever. And we help, we give you the path to release those things, which is really powerful.
Yeah. Can I add one other thing about it? We should get that, so we share that as one of our perks for WIGI, that they could probably join you on that, which I think would be great. But I also in my coaching, I take the perfectionist and say, we often think that perfectionist is something bad. I say, let's use that to our advantage. It's not going to hurt you. So just take it to your advantage and say, okay, but going to what Debbie also said, define what perfection actually means. You know, if you define it and you beyond where you can actually go to. So if you define what perfectionist means, so take it as an advantage that it's good for you, as opposed to we think it's a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. And that's changing your perception and going back to that. People say you're a perfectionist. I go, I am about a whole bunch of things, and I better be, because that's the way I have to teach it. I am a perfectionist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's great components, right? You have high standards. You have high standards. So there are great components to it in terms of that. You're going to give your best effort. You're going to work even harder. You're going to over deliver. It's when it becomes a mental detriment of anxiety and stress, and you live with too much cortisol and adrenaline running through your system all the time. It's very unhealthy. So just got to see where. So definitely, there's so many great components to it. Some of the most successful people have been that because they needed to get everything perfect. But then I also know people who are such perfectionists, it's like ready, set. I'm not ready. It's not perfect, because they're finding the one thing that's not right, and it's like the gun never goes off. That's when it's harming you.
You are so right with that one. Oh gosh, I'm gonna keep that one. Ready, set, and then take off.
Go. There's a word that says go.
Yeah. Thank you.
And after you go, and then you get done with it, then you go back and review and say, oh, I can maybe do a little bit better. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my LPGA, the Leadership Academy, which I love, is we have 2 days we empower these teenage girls, and that's when a lot of teenagers lose their confidence, and we teach them it's never a failure if you learn something, right? Every millionaire has failed. Many have made $1 million, lost $1 million. But every time they did that, they learned, and they were better for it. And that's what I've done as an entrepreneur. You know, it's gotten beat up. Now, have I ever been like, oh my gosh, why did I have this dream in my heart? I was so happy just having a job and no stress and not worried about, paying the people who are working for me. It was so nice. But then I'm reminded I have this dream because it's deep inside of me, and I have this passion and this purpose. I compare myself, sometimes my sister, she's a teacher. She goes to work, she leaves work. She's not striving to grow and learn and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, there's something to that, but it's not me. I want more. I want to reach more. I want to inspire more. I literally have on my vision board, change the world. Right? That's a big goal, right? But I know if I get enough golfers to understand that everything pretty much everything on the golf course is a reflection of your life. Your anger, your frustration, your inner critic that comes out, the fear that might come up, fear of embarrassment, fear of anything. That's a picture of what's happening in your life, and it's a picture of what's going on inside your brain, in the unconscious mind. And that's where I am different than a lot of mental game coaches, is I want to know the root cause of what is causing that reaction. It's so great. I have one of my clients, she was an angry golfer, and it was affecting, she noticed, wow, my relationship, I get snappy and angry. Even in my business meetings, I get that way. But she was that way in the golf course, and a very big inner critic, that was her loudest voice, was criticizing herself. So what she had been in therapy for 20 years, she said, I understand the root. I understand it, and I've been given strategies to resolve it. But here's the key. What she has now is we released it. So now she literally doesn't feel that emotion anymore. She'll hit a poor shot and she'll be like, interesting. But it's really how she feels. It's not just a word she says. Because we got to the root and we shifted it and released it for her. So now she has naturally the positive beliefs in her unconscious mind. Powerful. Your brains are so powerful. It's just tapping into.
We just have to learn how to take control of them. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And shift it. We get the coaching to help you understand it and shift it. That's what I've done. I've done breakthrough after. I had a limiting belief I'm not smart enough. So when I was writing my book, I would have it on my calendar, write your book. And I would suddenly get hungry or thirsty, and there's something would come up. Something would come up. And I wasn't writing my book, and all of a sudden I'm cleaning the junk drawer one day. And I'm looking down at the junk drawer and I'm like, on my calendar, I'm supposed to be writing my book. Why am I cleaning the junk drawer? It was pretty bad when you'd rather clean the junk drawer than write the book. And I went and I got to my coach, and we realized that the deep root cause was I had a limiting belief that I'm not smart enough. Had it since I was a kid. I'm not smart enough. What did I say earlier? Your brain job is to protect you. So my unconscious mind is doing everything to distract me from writing the book, because if I write it and people read it, they're going to know that I'm stupid. So I'm not going to let you write the book, because we're trying to protect you. So I had to get rid of that limiting belief in order to write my book. And then I wrote my book. It took me 2 years. Is that bad? Is that slow? 2 years.
No, it's okay. I'm still working on this, and I can go back to Betty Hicks, who's one of the LPG, one of the founding members, not quite the founding members, but she'd say it's a good thing you have an editor, because when you write, you're really laying yourself out there for criticism, but you have an editor that says stop writing and get it done. And I will look at Pat Baldwin, because she was one of the best editors I've ever had, and she writes me every time, and she says, how are we coming on your book? Because we've got it partially done. And I keep going on my to-do list. You need to start writing again.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And it's good. It's good to put your thoughts and share your knowledge. It's about sharing the knowledge. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we can do. Let's go for one more question, and then we're going to wrap this up. And yes, Mara, go ahead.
We got a couple, one question each.
Okay. We'll go for two.
I want to know, like, as kids in high school, how can we, get exposure and experience in the fields that we want to go into? Because I feel like, I've looked for internships and things like that, but they're not available for younger than college level. So I think it's been hard for me to find a way to get into it. Obviously, I've talked to Jan some. She's been a big help, but how do you get that experience?
I think Kay's jumping up and down over there.
Well, I'm going to do it, because I was going to end up with the whole thing of talking about for women in the golf industry. We now have a young professional membership up to the age of 25 for $25 a year. Okay.
Yeah, Dan has gifted us that, I think.
Okay. All right. So you're now a WIGI member. So, yeah. And the reason I say that is you have access to the membership. Reach out and call somebody and ask them some questions. these women are dying to help you and to give information out. So, and don't feel afraid. And if you are, you call me and I will get on them and I'll make sure that they call you and just ask them questions. I mean, it's like Debbie started in the beginning. It's like, I was afraid to ask questions. Start asking questions. That's how you find things out. So.
What field specifically?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. What field?
I want to get into course architecture. I think I'm gonna major in sports administration because I'm playing on the golf team. So I would think it would be hard to major in landscape architecture. So I'm gonna do a minor in it. But I don't know. I still got a while to decide. But
I think I'm interested in like the travel, like golf travel agent or coaching.
I can't do coaching.
In WIGI, we've got 3 or 4 people that are golf, they've expertise. They'd be glad to help, so if not access to
golf and travel?
I'm sorry?
Women's golf and travel, was that one? Reach out to me. I'm an LPGA pro and I don't do a lot of travel, but I run a trip to the Solheim Cup every other year and I'm starting to plan some retreats. So
Ashley just started bought what's her name? Barbara's business. That travel business that she just bought.
Yeah.
One of our members.
What? Yeah.
So
if you're looking for an internship, I would ask her about that.
Yeah. I'm looking for an assistant. Go ahead. Pam. Pam's got a question. Pam Allen.
If you're looking at travel, Maura Nolan from Irish Links is actually on this call.
Yes, I see Irish Links. She's waving.
That's who you need to talk to, okay? And I can connect the 2 of you guys.
Thank you. Okay, my question was about when we get to college, how important is it for what we major in to be related to our career, if that makes sense?
I'll give you some advice that I got when I first was starting out. And this was back in the dark ages when there weren't sports for girls. And 1 or 2 people here will remember those times. But my advisor told me to get a master's degree in my area of expertise. He said, because you're a woman and your first job, if you have a master's degree, they're going to believe you're serious. And if you don't have that, they're going to think you want to get married. Okay. I mean, he was honest, at least. I have to give him credit for that. And he said, when you take your first job, make sure it's something you really want, because when you go to get your second job, all they're going to have to look at is your first job. And if you want to do your first job as a writer, it's really hard to hold out for that, but I did. So my first job was writing. And also, I think I had a job in public relations before that, but it was writing. And then you have that on your resume already. So if what you want to do is landscape architecture, try and intern with somebody, and Jan probably knows some people too, who are out running around in the dirt and doing stuff with bulldozers and need somebody to carry the plans or whatever. You're going to learn a lot just by hanging around. And so it's really important to be where you want to be.
I can kind of piggyback on that too. Sometimes you may start out in something in college, and by the time you get out and get a few jobs, you're going to probably end up in something different, but all your experiences are going to add up to the sum total of where you should be. So
100%.
Get as much experience in anything that you can, and it'll all work out. So just keep educating.
Look, here's the thing. If you're not sure of where you want to be or what to major in, you can put it off for a year or 2, I think, when you get to college. And it's not the end all be all, right? Unless you are 100% sure. Like, I have a passion for writing. I have a passion for, business. And I know I definitely want to do that. If you know, great, find a major that's in line with it and run with it. If you don't panic.
That's right.
It's okay. It's okay, because there's a lot of self-education out there as well. Like, I majored in psychology. I did not go get a licensed certification, but I've gone and I'm master certified in neurolinguistic programming coaching, in timeline therapy, and and cognitive behavioral therapy. So, and I'm also certified in hypnosis. I'm not licensed in it, but I'm certified in it. So there's ways to get certifications. Now, depending if you're an entrepreneur, that's okay, right? If you want to work for somebody, you may need the other, right? And it may need to be a licensed, whatever person. So, but I'd say you won't make a wrong move, because you're either going to learn a bunch, right? Well, you're going to learn no matter what, right? You're always going to learn. And that experience, whatever it is in, I majored in psychology, minored in business and broadcasting. All of them really have helped. I have a radio show. I'm an entrepreneur, and psychology is my passion, and I combine that with golf. So, but I wasn't sure back in college. It just happened to work out.
The other thing is and I'll just finish with this. If you find yourself in something you don't like, quit. Start something else. It's real easy. All right. With that,
can we let Kathleen say what she wanted to share?
Yeah, my background is I've been in sports medicine and physical therapy for 30 years, but I have a daughter that's a junior in college and went through a little bit of that COVID in high school for 2 years. But one of the things I try to inspire is to go out and do a shadow day, because it sounds great on paper, but it might not be as glamorous as you think it is designing a golf course, or whatever job you do. And I think that until you're in that field, you don't know what they do. So if you can go and shadow, not jump into a whole internship, because you might only get 2 or 3 internships, do your homework before you pick that internship. So, and again, enough things are online now to elaborate on that, but doing shadow days, I think a lot of people will be, oh yeah, you can come spend the day with me, or to sort of see what's going on. The other question I have, and this, my daughter's at her internship, is she happens to go to school in Virginia, and the Solheim Cup's there. And so one of the things I had mentioned to her, and she wants to do, sideline reporting, broadcasting, and that's scary because that's a hard field, is media passes and something to that event, because it's doable, because she goes to college 2 hours away.
Yeah, so reach out to the LPGA and help shift her mindset that her path in that field will be easy and effortless. We get what we put out there. Everybody, if your words determined your life, would you say all the words you're saying? Maybe, maybe not. Profess what you want in your life.
Right.
I want to get in the best shape of my life and have fun in the process and make it easy and effortless. How can I easily, easy meaning, not that we don't work hard,
right? But
the path is an easier path, and don't think everything's going to be so hard. Will you work hard? Sure. You'll work hard. You can still achieve your goals.
Kathleen?
Yes.
If you want, I'll give you some practical advice on that. If you want to just send me an email or give me a call.
Right. And do I get your email on the website under directory?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Perfect.
Okay. Thank you so much.
There you go. Reaching out. There's a connection, and we're going to help Kathleen's daughter. Right?
It goes to the WIGI. The WIGI mission is about supporting and connecting women in the golf industry. So the more women you know, get them to join, get them to connect. And again, especially young professionals, especially see those 2 beautiful smiles over here, like they're just eating this up. This is great. Trust me, we're going to put you guys to work. Okay, I need to close, because we try to take time schedule. We want to thank Debbie Golf for you. Do big claps if you like. Thank you, Debbie. You gave so much inspiration, and you're a great WIGI member and great what you do. And someday you will definitely change the world. I promise you that.
Thank you.
So, thank you very much for all your insights. It's great information, and reach out to any of us. Thank you all very much.
I will.
Thank you.